Crypto God here, and today I got a good friend, a great guest. His name is Brendan from Cheecoin. How you doing, Brendan?
Doing well. How are you, Crypto God?
Well, it's midday, and shenanigans always ensue, as it were. But I'm excited because you're connected to some cool shit, sir.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, let me put it this way, all right? Everyone at home has either experienced you and your people's stuff firsthand, or at the very least, heard of it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we've worked on movies, TV shows, famous commercials, Super Bowl ads, World Cup ads. You've seen something, for sure.
And we just spent, we went into this interview process. We started talking, and then you got me distracted with everything that you've been up to. And, you're up to some cool shit, dude. Holy fuck.
Yes, holy dude.
Holy fuck. Cheecoin's, a very small portion of what you do. And I'm sitting back, I'm I feel kind of small, which doesn't happen very often, right? Because I'm a content creator, but you guys make some next level content, right? You're the people that you work with is oh, I want to be there someday type thing, And it's so cool, man. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, man. It's always nice to meet people that are doing cool stuff too, that we can learn from as well, because we have lots to learn too, We're a great company and we're pushing hard, but we love meeting, great personalities that introduce us to new communities, and we learn about their communities, and it's always good.
Well, anybody that knows me knows that I know how to build a very thriving active community. I did an experiment, right? I created a Discord server that's based on me, and that was 3 days ago. It's got 40 active members already of people that are actually just die hard just supporters, right? It's one thing to build a community that has numbers in it, right? But to have actually active community members, 40 people's a lot of active people that are actively supporting something, because they're actively liking, they're actively retweeting. If I put out, hey guys, I need you all to retweet this right now, every single one of them would retweet it. And if it's a brand new project, 40 retweets on a brand new project's insane, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's really cool, right? When you meet new people, because you never know who you're going to meet in crypto.
Well, that's a little bit of the problem with it too.
Yeah, kind of is, right?
It's like you're playing an RPG and you don't know if you're going to meet the boss or if you're going to meet your friend.
Right. You don't know if this guy's going to try to pickpocket you, stab your back, try to bash your head in with a hammer, or give you a magic item.
Probably one of the first four.
Yeah, but every now and then, you find the magic item guy, right?
Every now and again.
And it's just as the item implies, is a magical moment. And I think that's where we landed at today, Brendan.
Seemed that way. I liked it.
It was really, really cool, because you guys are doing some stuff with NFT that, I'm not the most experienced at this point as far as time-wise in the market, right? But as far as being hands-on with different projects, I've done more in these past 3 weeks than a lot of people have done in their first 3 months, because I'm talking to new projects every day. I sit down with these developers every day, and I'm learning the ins and outs of kind of how they're doing things. And it's a really interesting vantage point for me, right? Because we were talking about some of these charity tokens, right?
Yep.
Which you guys have a function of that, because you're wanting to raise some money for some little fuzzy creatures, which is fantastic. And
yeah, we've got, like I said, we're we've got a connection, not a connection. I'm a member of a charity in New York City called Little Wanderers that saves cats and little animals basically that get, abandoned or injured or trapped. and feral animals as well. And so like we basically foster through them, and we have been supporting them and working with them and helping them rebuild their website and rebrand and everything. And so now Cheecoin, you know, a lot of the profits and proceeds of the work we do go to that charity at the end of the day.
Right, which is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And like, but we had discussions of how do you give these big numbers, right? That you're seeing some of these other coins doing, because you see a lot of people saying stuff, right? But more often than not in this space, it's all just a show. So when you find a real person doing it, it's kind of shocking.
Well, that's the problem with crypto, is that there's a lot of trust issues. People get, you know, rugged a lot, or they end up getting, you know, robbed, or, you know, their money is completely gone forever. They don't understand why. And you can't trust a lot of people in crypto. And, you know, we've tried hard to make our coin very honest and transparent. And, you know, I think the charity donations are helpful because you can contact the charity. You can track the donations on our website soon. You can see which animals you saved, which animals are currently like in recovery, which like what their updates are. You can track their foster parents' updates. So you can kind of get a feel for like where your money is going, and you can see the transaction records, and you can see the receipts, and you can contact the hospitals of the vet if you need to find out if we paid for it. So
right.
I mean, we don't really care. You can do it.
Bro, your website is so sexy. I didn't.
Thank you.
I wait to look at the website until I'm like talking on the interview itself, right? Like I looked at your other websites, but holy shit, is this beautiful. Like,
we worked a lot on it. We're going to be re-updating it right now to be running fully on React with the marketplace. We have our NFT marketplace is launching in 3 or 4 weeks. Right now we have it scheduled for 3, but I like to pad things.
This is like this Cheecoin just kind of floating on a spaceship. This is cool as I love this. I love this. Now, out of curiosity, right? Are you guys? Yeah, it's listed right here. Your actual company is listed on the website. So
yeah, we're it up.
I think what helps with your credibility, right, is the fact that you have this other little company, right? How about we tell a little bit people about this little company? I say it facetiously because it's no small thing, right?
Bonfire VFX. We are not related to the token. Bonfire VFX was established in 2015, and we already worked on all of the same content, but just through different companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I started it with my wife, and since then we've grown to a $10 million company. And $10 million company in our world is kind of equivalent to like a $3 billion market cap in crypto. So you can kind of judge and compare them that way. We work against, the best shops in the world.
Right.
And we compete against, multi-million-dollar projects all the time. But yeah, Bonfire VFX was created, and, we have been making high-end visual effects for a long time. And it just is an easy transition to make, NFTs and to make an amazing set of visuals for blockchain. That's what Cheecoin's for, to create amazing visuals and high design for blockchain. And then also like our partner Juice, Juice.pl, the Polish-based visual effects company that we've partnered with. They also are supplying all of their content and giving us, 40 extra artists, or 20 extra artists rather, to put on our roster.
It's phenomenal because, like, even though it's not a part of, right, it's the fact that Cheecoin has, because you have this other company that's very, very successful, that's partnered with another company that's very, very successful. And
yes.
And so what I'm trying to point out to the people at home is you're not this dabbler in business, right? Like, you actually make quality services and content on a very professional, top of the food chain type capacity as far as how you're competing, right? Like,
yeah, we have 20 staff employees. We have 3 partners, including myself. We have a full billing department. We have health insurance for everyone. We have 401ks. We have 5,000 freelancers that we rotate between depending on the job that we have. Like I said, I mean, we grow, but we like to stay at a certain size for overhead just because, jobs come in at sporadic times and you have to scale up and down depending on the need of the job. So the size that we have is very comfortable, and it's nice because, it's easy enough for us to hire external help, and we have some custom relationships with a lot of our artists. We have retainers with certain people. We have exclusive rights with certain people. It's good. It gives us a lot of business experience in terms of how to run a company in a competitive environment, and the type of energy and dedication and commitment and know-how that you need to do something like this over a longer period of time, especially when things are stacked against you. Visual effects is a very competitive industry. It's one where people will kill you to get to the top, and they don't care about how your family is going to eat. They just want to make sure that they get their name on a credit. And that said, we've been able to be super successful and come to the top of that. And, crypto's no different. So it's not a big jump for us to do this. And, we have a great web development team, which is really the only thing that we had to add to the team to get it up to snuff. And, that guy, our web developer, will be public soon. He's coming off of a full-time gig brand that I can't talk about. So he's left that brand to come work for us. And it's very exciting. And he's headed down a great path with our NFT marketplace. We've got some great stuff that we've been looking at. But, like I said, at the end of the day, we just decided to do this because we saw so many people getting into crypto that didn't know what they were doing from a business perspective. And they may have gotten lucky, but they don't know how to run a company. And at the end of the day, they may not do so well. So for us, we have not only the employees, but we have the, we have the backing, we have the experience, we have the technology behind us, and we have the technology experience. And we have the partnerships with Netflix. We work with them all the time, with HBO, which we work with all the time, and with, other different companies and brands like PayPal, and, Nike and Samsung and General Motors and Best Buy and Brisk, Coca-Cola. I don't know. I mean, the list goes on.
You're freaking me out, man. You're freaking me out. Like, this is how long has Cheecoin been in existence, by the way?
A month.
Okay. So this is what I want to point out, because I was looking at your chart, right?
Yeah.
Like your value, the value of the coin, the price of the coin, for only being in existence for a month, it's doing really good, bro. Price wise.
We had a good pump yesterday for sure.
I saw that. And then you had another pump today. And as typically with pumps, you see some decline, right? But you retained, it looks about 35% of that pump from what happened in the past, like 15 minutes, right? Because you want to look at the close up. But you're doing because it was really low and then it went really high and it stabled out about at the halfway point, it looks like, which is nice.
We've got a good community. People are very...
Well, how can you not? You have a great product.
We're excited.
We're excited! Yeah, I'm excited. You know how bad I want to work on this motherfucker? You know what I mean? Honestly, if you guys wanted to come back on a regular basis and be partnered up and whatever, you know what? I would love that. You know what I mean? You know what I've been trying to do? I've been trying to find somebody who's serious enough about their success to be like, you know what, Crypto God, we want to come on and have you do nightly news for the coin and come on every week and talk to raise awareness. Someone's eventually got to bite on that motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, you know what I mean? But this is so cool, man. I love this NFT stuff you're doing is because I talked to you about this NFT idea that I had that was super ambitious, right? And it would be kind of difficult to execute because of how it all would have to go together. You would have to nobody could do it. It would have to be someone with a really powerful usage of Unreal Engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had this idea last week, and here you are today. It's odd, ain't it?
I don't know. Maybe it's just serendipitous.
Yeah, well, that's how a lot of my life works, right? Because the universe will continue to present things to you as long as you keep following through on your word, you know?
Well, yeah, I guess that's true, unless you convince yourself that your word is something different than it was. Which in crypto seems to happen a lot.
I think if your word has any value, you can't operate that way.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
I come from a very distinct background, right? My father raised me a very specific way. my mother did too. You know, I was homeschooled, and you know, I learned Greek and Latin roots at an early age so I could understand the very specificity of a word, right? That's where my command of the English language comes from, my ability to communicate. It comes from that learning the Greek and Latin roots. And I have these arguments with people all the time about rhetoric and the usage of words just in my personal arena, right? And my favorite quote almost ever of all time is from The Princess Bride that says, "I don't think that means what you think it means." And there's a quote that I said a while back ago, just from a conversation that I was having with someone. And it says, "Being concise with our language is the homage we pay to words to convey ideals." So using the correct words in the correct context, because when very early on, because I speak in a specific way and I've read a lot of books and I've actually studied the dictionary, right? I've studied language. I would use words that people didn't understand, but I did it to be concise. So I could utilize words that expressly conveyed my ideals. And when you understand words, I use the words that I mean exactly what I say. I'm kind of a lawyer in that sense, right? And also, none of this of what we're saying is legal or financial advice or anything like that. There's a disclaimer, so you can right off, right? But in the literal sense, when I say something in a deal, or I say something in agreement, or say something to a person, the words I use are exactly what I mean based upon the textbook definition of the word.
Not everybody can do that, so you're lucky.
Well, being concise is the homage we pay.
We try to do that at Cheecoin too. I think clarity is important. Communication is important. It's important to understand what you're talking about, what you need as a goal. There's a lot of people that just ask you a question and say, "What do you need?" and then they give you a very half answer, and it's kind of
especially like you have clients, right?
Yep.
And they're like, you've probably ran into this more than I have because you're on a higher level. And they're like, "Well, we want a graphic for this." And you're like, "Okay, what's it for?" It's great.
Well, now you're getting into the creative director thing where it's like, we need it to feel like we need it to feel like fear. We need it to feel that way. And you're like, what does that mean?
What's the utility of it though? What's it going on? You know, like, are you making it for what platform is it going on? Where on the platform is it going? What's its function? I need more specificity so I can execute, you know?
Yes.
And
unless you don't want it and then you want to redo it because you made a mistake the first time. That's usually what happens.
Right. But it's kind of like with me and doing marketing, I get people like, "Well, I need a graphic that looks like this." And then I'll respond to them and they'll take like a week to get back to me. And I'm like, guys, like a quarter of your time that you've hired me for is gone already. I haven't even got to accomplish anything, and that's not on me. Like, I need my answers to these questions so I can get my work done. That's why my team works so fast, is because these people drag their feet so long. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is. It's frustrating. It's hard to find good help.
It is so hard to find just nothing makes me happier than when I have a client that knows exactly what they want. You know what I mean? Like, they know what they want, they know how they want it, and they just tell me very point blank, like, "I want a new like banner for Twitter and a new icon specifically for Twitter. And then I want a separate thing for my YouTube channel. And then I want a separate thing for Reddit." And they tell me exactly what they want. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can now execute all of this and just pass it all off to the staff. Right. And I think it also boils down to, as you said, right? Because this is what I've noticed too, because I run a company as well. Your company, of course, has been in the game a little longer than mine has. But yeah, there's a lot of projects out there that aren't ran by real business owners.
That's true. I think that's what's most terrifying about some of these things, and like DeFi in general, is that, you know, DeFi is an amazing tool to give the power back to the people, but the people have to be smart enough to actually do their research and know what they're getting into. And a lot of them don't do that. And, you know, that's okay. I have sympathy for you. But, you know, a lot of times those people end up getting into bed with the wrong people.
And it's not even sometimes it's not even because the people are malicious. They're just idiots.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways, but I think that that's the biggest problem is that you don't know their background. You don't know what they're up to. Like you come to me and you're like, all right, Brendan, what's one of your biggest flaws? Like if you were to be in the crypto world, and it's like, well, okay, I don't know if it's a flaw, but like, where's my weakness as a human being in crypto? I don't know how to do web development, really. I know some, but not enough.
Right.
So what do? You hire somebody that's an expert at it, that comes on your
Right.
team, that knows what you do.
That's
So that's the thing is that like, and that's the bigger problem too, is that a lot of these coins don't want to spend money on things that they don't know how to do because they want to keep it for themselves, and that's the
that
greed factor. But that
that
means that you
is the
don't
most
develop the project.
frustrating thing to me, right? Like you see a project that's not thriving, I offer marketing, right? And they tell me, well, I own a business and I own all this other shit. So they have the money, right? But it's not in the budget per se for the project that they want me to do the work for.
I mean, you're a premium retainer. You're not a nobody. So
Yeah.
it depends on the coin. Some people would find it to be super affordable, and some people might find it to be they're like, oh well, he's too good for us. So I just think it depends on who you go to. Some people are just cheap too.
Yeah, and I think like I was talking to one of them, right? And he's like, "Well, I just have a Jewish background." I'm like, "That's no, don't be like that. Don't use racism in your favor because you have that background. Let's not be that way."
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole. Sorry.
Like I just and I don't accept stereotypes as excuses for behavior.
I mean, again, I don't know who that person was, and that may have
Right.
been a very inappropriate off-color comment from that person. So, I mean,
It,
I think in general, whether
to me, it was inappropriate, right?
of course it's inappropriate.
And
If
if
you are of that descent, it's probably a bad idea to perpetuate negative
right,
stereotypes.
and I don't, and the reason, like, they probably listen to this podcast. I don't care if they're mad at me because I don't support like the perpetuation of stereotypes like that, regardless of if you fit into the stereotype and you're a part of the demographic. Don't contribute to the problem.
Well, I think the real problem is the, overarching theme of, the gold rush, really, I think is what it comes down to at the end of the day, is there's millions of people that are watching the DeFi market, move and transfer the largest wealth transfer in history, and they don't quite understand it, but they're watching it. And a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon for crypto and they wanted to be part of that journey and that gold rush. And, unfortunately, a lot of the people that, decided to get involved with that have presented themselves as professionals in this industry, and they're not. And the problem with this industry is that well, it's not a problem yet. That's debatable, I suppose.
It's a problem. It's a problem enough. Let's be honest.
No, the problem is that there's no regulation to some extent. Like regulation presents its own issues in and of itself because you have to make sure
Right.
that it's honestly regulated. But like the fact that there's no regulation at all means that people literally can do whatever they want. And so like to start a cryptocurrency, like what do you need to do? Nothing. You have to have a solidity contract that you put out, you publish it and that's it. And then you have a crypto. And then what? You put one BNB or less on pancakeswap for a fair launch if you want, and then your crypto's live. Like that's literally all it takes. And you can hire somebody if you really wanted to. Like if you were cheap and you didn't know what you're doing, you could go to Fiverr probably. I mean, that's what places like SafeMoon did. Like they found their people on Fiverr, and and then they enhanced it from there. I think, or I'm not sure all the specifics.
I've found some really good talent on Fiverr for what I do. Right.
You can, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that like it's hit or miss. You don't know what you're gonna get.
It's
so
crazy.
Like you can hire somebody that's really good, or you can hire somebody that's really bad. And so let's say you hire somebody that's bad, and you don't know what you're doing in blockchain, and then you put the contract out on the internet. You add liquidity. You have people that put of money into it in the first like 5 hours, and then suddenly you turn around and find out that there's a problem because you didn't do your research.
Yeah,
you
the Fiverr guys stole it.
Well, not only that, I mean, I don't know if that's really that.
Well,
I don't think I've ever happened, but
actually, yes, it did. It happened to one of the guys that came on. He partnered with some developers, right? And he was the voice of the coin, and they earned his trust. And one of the developers wrote a back door into the program of the code to where even though it was locked, he could actually go back in. Right.
Well, he should have had a back end developer look at the code to make sure that wasn't in there.
Then he stole all the liquidity, and it broke my heart for the guy because he paid for advertisement out of his own personal bank account because
that's right. I mean,
he genuinely believed in it. And
well, of course you do. I mean, I'm paying. I just paid $10,000 to like finish part of the NFT website, like out of my own bank account. You know what I mean? Like we're putting our own money into these things because it's what's necessary to make a project successful.
Because you understand the business.
But I think that, the security aspect of this whole thing is very, very important, and people really don't take heed or pay attention to that, and they really let themselves get taken advantage of a lot. And there's just so much of it. And like you have to know, like if you're putting money into a coin with developers, do you know who the developer is? Do you know that they own a business? Do you know that they have like a real social media account? Do you know that they're like who they say they are? Do you know that they're even a man or a woman? Like, what do you know about them? Do you know that they're not going to you over in 3 months? Do you know that like, you can't find them after the fact? Do you know that they have experience doing any of the things that they say they have experience doing? Right. Probably not.
And that's one of the things, like, regardless, we had to talk about the guests that I talked to yesterday about how they've been in the market for like 7 years, right? Their company has that track record for 7 years, regardless of growth, right? The fact that they've been around for 7 years in this space should instill some faith, And when we're talking about stuff like Cheecoin, the fact that you have a company that has a very solid track record and it's very publicly linked of, this is who I am, this is my other company, should instill faith. And when back to the topic of people working together, right? There's no organizational flowchart of who answers to who on most of these projects. Like nobody knows what their job is.
Well, I think another problem too is that I learned this early on when I started Bonfire, is that like, unless you know for sure the people that you're working with and you've had a long history with them, and even then, it doesn't matter sometimes. It can just be totally situational. Bringing partners together, a group of people together that all control one entity, can be extremely problematic for making decisions long-term and short-term. And not only that, but it can be really problematic for the future of the company because you have to go through 6 or 7 people to make choices, and they may all have different opinions. That may also cause problems and strife in your own organization that could then lead to more problems down the line. So while there are benefits to having more than one head in a room making decisions, I think it's more beneficial when a company has one person that makes final choices so things can get done, but that person is cognizant and smart enough to be able to pay attention to the advisors that are smarter than them.
Right. Like, for instance, in my company, right, I am CEO, right? But I also, my full partner, he's given me the final say on things, right? But he's my chief analytics officer, right? I don't go against his advice because he knows the numbers better than me, right? And then I have a person who I have project managers, right? Very rarely will I go against something that one of my project managers decide, right? Unless I view a bigger problem or they don't have the full picture, will I ever overrule a project manager? Because I've put the people into place that are competent at what they do. They're good at what they do, and I can trust them to do it. And yes, I had the final say, but there is enough competence, which competence, you can't find enough value in competence. A lot of people, when they hear adequate or competent, they think, oh, that's not very good. No, it means good, right? It means they perform very well. Like they are performing on the level. If you look at the definition of the word, when the team drops the ball, when I use the word incompetent with them, I have to remind them, don't look at it at a emotional level. It just means that wasn't good enough at that moment. I'm not saying you as a whole person is incompetent. I'm saying you're having incompetence right now. But as a whole, though, like you have people that you're like, I don't have to give them much oversight whatsoever because they're really good at what they do, right? You just have to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And for the most part, you can let them run because you have that system in place.
Yep.
And that's the problem with a lot of these projects. Everybody wants to be top dog. But if they understood business, it's really kind of impossible unless you guys all come together every single decision and hold a vote right there and then. And then make sure you have an odd number of people and one person only votes on the swing vote, because that's how Israel does it. Because they have an odd number of people that make all the decisions, right? Instead of just one person pulling the trigger. But the problem with a lot of these projects is they don't make the time to come together every day to vote on it at the same time. And it's always a very long, drawn out discussion. You know as well as I do, in business, you got to make quick choices.
You do. But it's good to make sure that you've got the input of other people so that you don't make one that you may not see the other side of, because it's always good to get perspectives that you might not see.
Right. And that's why I always, like, for instance, with my managers, I will ask them, even some of the people that are just employees in the company, I ask their input. I'm like, what do you think about this? Does this seem like a good idea? And I'll ask a couple of other people first, right? I'll ask my higher up people, and then I'll ask some of the lowest people in the company what their opinion is. And then sometimes I'll call my dad too, right? And
why? What does your dad say?
My dad has phenomenal insight. He was a minister for 40 years, and he was a Detroit Union master carpenter.
Wow, that's very specific.
And he plays 12 instruments.
That's pretty cool.
My mother is a published author. She has a doctorate and 2 master's degrees. So
what happened to you, man? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, I'm telling you, Satan. No, but no, it's literally they're finding trusted and then I'll also sometimes ask my brother, because he makes 6 figures a year running a car dealership. And if it's a really serious topic that is kind of like I need to make sure I make the right decision, then I'll call like 6 people and I'll field it to 6 people. And then I'll gather all their input and I'll sit on it for like a day or a couple days. And then I'll pull the trigger. But more often than not, you don't have it's more important to make a decision and go in a direction on some things. But on like serious stuff, yeah, you have to have a council of people 100%. I agree with that 110%,
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't always know like the right choices for certain things. And like, I'm not a woman or like, transgender or, I'm not a person that's done every experience in the world. And like, you always need external resources to give you perspective that you don't have experience with. Because if I'm trying to make a decision about something that I don't have experience with, how do I know I'm making the right choice? I don't. So you have to trust people that are around you. I
like to ask people questions. The people that are I like to surround myself with people that are better at things than me,
Cool.
Like that's who I choose to surround myself with, is people who perform at things I'm not a good performer at, because I need that insight, because I know my blind spots. I know that I'm not the most sensitive person, right? My father is I talked to my father about staffing stuff on how to deal with like people mostly. And with that being said, like I'll call him because all he's done his entire life in the ministry is deal with people. And there was a particularly rough day, and you may have had the same issue. It was like, because I don't know if you've ever been mad at your staff before.
Yes, I have.
And personnel development's really big to me. And I have this capacity to break a person with words. And I had to get away from that. I'm like, how do I encourage this person when I want to rip off their head, when they just cost me a lot of money? How do I build them up rather than tear them down? And there was a situation where we lost a significant amount of money because the ball was dropped on something. And for my company, it was a significant amount of money. For a bigger company, it's like, well, things like that happen. But it was at the point where if it continued, I couldn't continue to staff people, right? So I asked my dad, I was like, how do I deal with these difficult people? And when they are costing me money and all I want to do is rip off their heads, but they're good for the company because when they perform, they're the best at what they do. And my father went, because every time he thinks, he goes, And he's like, well, in the early days of IBM, there was a guy who cost IBM $500,000. Back then, $500,000 was a lot of money. And even today, it's a lot of money. And when the CEO asked the supervisor why, if he fired the person, the supervisor said no. And the CEO was like, what do you mean no? He cost us $500,000. And the supervisor simply said, well, now I've invested $500,000 into him. And that person went on to make IBM a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, there's always those metaphors to, remember. And I mean, I think it's important that you look at them when you're making decisions. Not every employee will be worth that sacrifice, but no,
you could tell, you could tell the difference. Like, I'm quick to fire somebody.
Some of them are a big pain in the be honest with you, I used to be that employee that was a big pain in the ass.
Right.
But they would never get rid of because, I mean, I wasn't that big of a pain in the ass. I just had a mouth on me, that's all. But they would, I would never have survived in any corporate world.
Yeah,
but
I've always ended up in like management positions. Any job I landed in, I always landed in high performance positions on that. But you as an employer know when a person's like, if this is the norm or not, you know, like we see the trends. And the reason I bring all of it up, right, is because my audience knows my business mindset and they know where I'm coming from. And if they see that you're lining up with that, which means they know that you run your stuff very efficiently, you know, how could you not, right? Look how good you're doing with Bonfire. And then,
yeah, I mean, Bonfire's going great.
And then
I love Bonfire. Bonfire VFX, to be specific. Bonfire.nyc is our URL. Bonfire VFX is our company. It has nothing to do with the token.
yes, but
I have nothing against the token. I just don't know it well. And they are not part of our organization. But, you know,
right.
Cheecoin and Bonfire VFX and Juice now. We are a trifecta of NFT dopeness on the DeFi network.
And the reason why I just bring up all the different management stuff is because what you referred to earlier, right? About companies not knowing what they're doing. And I feel like holders, like seeing that you have a successful business that does amazing things, should instill a lot of faith.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think the biggest hurdle for like our coin right now is time. You know, we've only been around for a month and people demand results. And we've gotten a lot of them, you know, CoinGecko in 24 hours and CMC in under 3 weeks and a lot of other, you know, sort of impressive things, I suppose. But, you know, at the end of the day, when the market took a downturn and is doing our little correction thing right now, which I have full faith will come completely roaring back soon, regardless, you know, it's just Rome wasn't built in a day. And like, I've obviously got a lot of going on, but, you know, we post stuff daily. But, you know, if people are like, when's NFT website? When is NFT website? When is AR game? When is VR game? It's like, well, it'll come sooner than you probably think. But like, do you know how long it takes to make any of this stuff? Have you ever made any of it? I mean, it takes. Some people look at like some of the NFTs we made of the high end models of the animals, and they're like, "Yo, you gotta like make more of these. Like, we want to see these in a few days." And it's like, "Yo, bro, like that model took somebody a month to make and cost like thousands of dollars. Like, it doesn't work that way."
Like this is the thing. Are you ready? This is what I'm looking at. When you say not a like month, you know, not you have more results in a month with your website in the proof of product, so to speak, with your NFTs. From what I'm just seeing from your website, you guys are ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, you know, it's at the end of the day, people want green candles. And, you know, we've gotten a lot of those, and that's great. But, you know, it's not a problem in any way, shape, or form. It's just an observation about the need for crypto holders to have results in unreasonable amounts of time. And you have to balance those unreasonable expectations with the FUD that is created with it without losing sight of your primary purpose, which is the product. And it is a enjoyable but very exhausting and very tricky balance.
Right. And this is what I got to say about these people's haste, right? I want you to just weigh the cheecoin.com website, right, against any other website that's been in existence for a month. And then ask yourself who else can make this happen? Like in the crypto space, because there are very expensive, high-end, very valuable crypto projects out there. So what I think the people at home need to truly understand, all right, is when you look at a project, especially when it's in its infancy in a month, I want you to, especially you people at home that are wanting fast results, right? Fast results. Like, let's have some big picture things for a second. Stack the quality that you're seeing with Cheecoin, especially with this engine that is generating these products for Cheecoin. Look at the website. Look at all the other websites of all the other currencies that are a month old, okay? And then ask yourself, who the has something so polished? You know how many Brendan, you know how many websites I've seen from these developers and how many of them are dog shit?
Most of them.
Yeah. And then you know how many like year-long projects, 5-year-long projects, 8-year-long projects who their websites look like a polished.
Most of them.
Yeah. You guys, okay, on a quality level as far as presentation and what you actually are aiming to offer is above and beyond what anybody else is doing right now.
Well, thank you. I mean, we compare ourselves to the unreleased Binance NFT marketplace. We are the only other marketplace that we know of that is exclusive to creators that we choose and bring on board. You cannot apply to be a creator on our marketplace. You have to be chosen. And we only choose people that we've worked with, that we trust, that we can vet their portfolio, and we've, seen their visual effects credits. So you're getting basically 40 to 50 artists from the top visual effects companies in the world and immediately, basically, that we've already worked with over the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And they are not minting on any other platform. So basically, when they start minting, you guys will be able to buy exclusive products from them here on our platform. And, I don't know where else you can find that. Any other marketplace is saturated with shit, and, you can't really... You got to go looking for things that you like, and oftentimes they're very expensive. And, our marketplace is catered to be one of a kind, super unique. Most of our NFTs will be single minted, not editions. And, from there, the AR and VR experiences that we have planned will be an enhancement of that, where you can, visualize and experience all of the NFTs in VR and in AR and find prizes, and it goes on and on from there.
So this is what I gotta really say. All right. Especially with these guys, they're doing something that's going to revolutionize the industry. All right. Like, if any NFT maker has the opportunity to really do it, look at the credentials of the companies that are paired with this. Okay. Like, just for a moment, use your brain, use your critical thinking skills your mama never taught you. All right. Because if you had a critical thinking, you wouldn't be acting the fool right now, being like, when Moon, when Lambo, when we going to see all this, da 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 da. If you don't see the potential here, you're kind of brain dead.
Yeah, we agree.
Like,
we agree.
Like, not to say you shouldn't be a holder, but what the are you doing? Like, being impatient with something that is on such a high level. Like, if you're a gamer, here's the thing. If you're a gamer, anytime a project rushes the development of a video game, it it up.
Yeah, but people just want money.
Right.
They just want to make money.
But
that's it.
Don't they realize if you guys take your time, the amount of money is going to be, like, stupid?
Yeah, but they're short-sighted in terms of what they want. So, you got to deal with that. It's part of the course. I mean, it doesn't worry me ever. It's just the way it is.
Well, let me word it for them in a different way. Are you ready? So they can reshape their worldview, or as it's actually called, paradigm, their understanding of reality and their perception of reality. Okay, so success has a finite amount of effort to get to success. Okay, so a lot of these projects don't become successful because they don't put the amount of effort to get there. Now, it's not measured in time, it's measured in effort. Okay, now effort for high-end projects take more time, right? So they're working along this finite line and they're making the steps to get there. Now, the end result of what they're doing is going into VR, AR, high-end things that are individualistic experiences for people that you're not going to get anywhere else. Which means, folks, this here can absolutely, this is like steps towards Ready Player One type is what I see.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. It's what we want after.
So that's, which we got to have a separate talk, because I got some big vision stuff I think you're going to want to hear later, but not for the public, right? But like, when you see Ready Player One being in development, do you really want to rush that? No, you want it, and you want it right. So this is what I'm going to say to end this, because you got things you got to do, I got things I got to do. Give them time to perfect it, because it's not going to fail if you let them do their jobs. It's not going to fail. because unlike a lot of other cryptocurrency things, which are bullshit, this is an extension of real powerful engines. Okay. So if you just hold and you wait, you be patient and give a little bit of faith, the rewards will be crazy exponential. I'm talking like Sony type big. I'm talking like Microsoft type big, because that is the innovation that's going into this. Like, I see big picture. I'm an entrepreneur, much like yourself, Brendan. You have the potential to see a project, right? And see exactly where it's going. You see its potential. And the only way this will fail, and you can attest to this, Brendan, is if you rush it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Definitely.
That's the only way you guys fail at this point, is if you don't take your time. So people at home who are trying to rush them, stop sabotaging the success of the project. Stop it. Stop it. You care about your money? Well, this is what you do. Just like real companies that are doing real things, invest and walk away until it fully launches.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, but this is the part of the course. Like, we have a great relationship with our holders and we reach out to them. I talk to everybody. We're very active. I'm very public. And I think that draws a lot of trust. People are here to stay. We have a great core group of holders. They're not selling. We just got to get more of those people in. You're going to have paper-handed people all the time. And it's just the way it is. I can't let any of that stuff stress me out because it is what it is.
Right. And this is what I'm going to say. Like, this is a project, like, from talking with you, seeing everything that you have. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I always say, do your own research. Don't do your research. Do your own research, okay? It means really dig deep. But I personally, like, seeing what I see has instilled a lot of belief in this project for me. I believe in the project because I see where it's going. And I've only said that about a few things. Now, as far as what it's actually doing for the virtual space, I think if it's developed on the course that you're headed towards with uniquely minted, because we had to talk about unique minted NFTs beforehand. I didn't even know that was part of your business model, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Like, we had to talk about it. The fact that my vision, I'm a man of great vision. I see a lot of things all the time, and I see like endless possibilities before me all the time. The fact that one of my visions for a greater experience for like NFTs, you're already working on executing, is all I need to say I fully believe in your project, because I know where your headspace is.
Yeah, I mean, going full circle to what you said initially in the beginning of this chat was that communication is key, and it's important that you have clarity. And, with that, I think comes what you're talking about.
Exactly. So people, by all means, be involved in the community. By all means.
Need to be involved. You have to be. Like, the community is what builds the marketing tactics to some extent. Obviously, we have to do a lot on our own, but like, you got to get out there and you got to upvote Cheecoin. You got to go to cheecoin.com. You got to go to the Twitter. You got to go to all those places. You know what I mean?
Right. But I think based upon the quality, like, those things are 100% important. 100% important. But I think people are going to believe in it regardless of like this. I don't say this very often, but all you got to do is put it in front of people for people to see the value, and it's going to happen. Like, honestly.
Yeah, you just got to get it in front of more people.
And that's it. And you know what? I am so glad that I am a part of that journey with this right here, right now. So people,
me too, man.
Like, this has been honestly one of the most rewarding podcasts for me personally. Like, I would put it in my top.
My first podcast ever.
Really?
I've never done one before.
In my top.
I don't even think I've ever listened to a full podcast, because that's how much my brain freaks out all the time. And I don't know, maybe you're like that too. Your brain's always working and always moving. And I sit down for a podcast and I listen to half of it and then I say, I'm going to come back later. And then I never do.
Right. That's a lot of people, to be honest. That's the average viewer.
Yeah, all right. Maybe I just think I'm different.
No. Actually, I've been told by a lot of people that they don't listen to the full podcast for many other platforms, but they'll listen to mine, which is great.
You should stop paying them. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, I tell you, if I had the money to pay them to listen, I would much rather just pay for advertising to extend my reach. Like,
fair enough. You think we should do a crypto stand-up bit podcast? I do stand up in New York.
You know what? We could definitely have you back on. We could just tell some jokes for like an hour.
I'll have to write the bit, and then to pass you first. It takes like a month to write a good bit. You gotta like really dive in.
I'm down for it. Let's workshop some shit.
I'll send you the links for my my New York set.
Hell yeah! You know, we'll drop that in the description too. We'll drop all your description below.
We gotta do a crypto stand-up bit because
stand up Bitcoin.
Anyway,
that was a dumb pun, but I loved it. But anyways, folks,
I have my drums ready for the but next time I will.
Absolutely, folks. I really think that if you were looking for a long-term investment with great applications that can really revolutionize the digital space, and you're excited about gaming, you're also excited about animals, Cheecoin is where you need to be. I don't very often say invest into a project because I'm not a financial advisor, but I feel like this one is a good investment personally.
I personally agree with you. Not financial advice, do your own research, but we think Cheecoin is going to go places that most other tokens will not.
I think Cheecoin is going to go places most companies aren't going to go.
Yes, the plan is really to be merging Bonfire VFX and Cheecoin and potentially Juice into like, an organization of
a superpower thing. Ready Player One, the Oasis brother.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like when you look back at companies like Amazon and PayPal and other ones, they started small and they started humble and they started with limited resources, and they've grown to something because of the vision that the people had. And all you need is the vision and the work ethic to keep going and not give up when stuff gets shitty. And no matter how many people quit, no matter how bad the market is, no matter how many people complain about something, no matter how many times something beats you down, you just got to get back up, and that's what's important. And if you keep doing that, then you will be successful, and that's what we did with Bonfire, and that's what we'll do with this. And in 10 years, you might look back and be like, "What the fuck? Cheecoin and Bonfire and Juice are global corporations that own buildings in Shanghai and in New York, and like, what the hell? Like, how did that happen?" And you never know. You don't know. So you should look at the project and really dive in and see where you're comfortable.
I agree. I think right now, like if you don't invest now, I honestly believe you're going to regret it 10 years down the road, like 100%.
You might regret it sooner than that.
Yeah, but you'll definitely regret it 10 years down the road. Like,
yeah, I would.
Like, I'm telling you right now, not investing in Cheecoin could potentially be a very post-traumatic stress moment for you. Because I'm seeing the trajectory, right? I'm seeing the trajectory. I don't give projections per se. Like, I'm not going to say, it's going to be, I'm projecting it to be this, but it's such a special project. And I see its value because of everything that's connected to it. I mean, hell, you got people working on the that worked on Cyberpunk for sake.
Yep.
What more do you need to know to be like, oh, they're the real deal? So with that being said, folks, you have all the information you need to know to start really digging in. But I personally am excited for the future of Cheecoin, Bonfire, and Juice. I'm excited for this. I couldn't be genuinely, as far as on board and anticipating, in a digital space for entertainment and gaming, this is the next step. This is where it's going. I see you guys being the future.
Thank you. We are the future.
Yes. So, folks, you got to remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share with all of your friends, and ring the bell so you can get notifications. Because if you weren't subscribed up to this point, then you came onto this boat late, which shame on you. How dumb is that? We bring new things to you every single day that could change your life with very small, minimal investments that could turn into something amazing for you. Now, that's what we call irresponsibility. But outside of that, when you get some Cheecoin, my last piece of advice is hodl that shit.